Hi everyone, how are you all? So I'm here today. I've created a dashboard called Duck Dashboard. No idea why ducks are kind of in my head. But I'm going to kind of talk about what I'm talking about and what I was actually supposed to be talking about. I didn't realize, as Colin said earlier, that I was allowed to lie. So I've come here just to tell you the truth today. I missed that memo. I wish I knew, because this might have been a lot easier if I was able to lie a little bit. Oh, I didn't realize I made a noise. Hi, I'm Laura from Data Cove. If you don't know me, you probably know Jeremy, our founder. He's usually everywhere at our events, so he's kind of a character, but there, he's given a little wave. We are a data and analytics consultancy based down in Brighton. We do a few things to help our clients understand their data, basically, and everything we do is bespoke. We don't have these lovely frameworks, which I'm actually quite jealous about. But we help people unearth their customer analytics, and we do segmentation models, we do econometrics, we help people process and everything. We also love community, and we run a few meetups around the country. I think the most northerly one at the moment is Manchester. Most of them are based down south, unfortunately, just because it takes us a while to get round. And we love hexes just as much as you, and so do I. I even made a pi hex, so a little snuck in there. I actually work in pi. I don't do R at all, so I feel a little bit of a fraud being here today. But thankfully, no one's been like, it's an R conference, unlike Earl, which kind of is supposed to be an R conference. I changed that slightly. But yeah, so that's who we are and kind of what we do. But yeah, I'm going to tell you the truth today. This is not the dashboard and the talk that I had been planning to give to you. I've been working for almost a year on a project with a client, solely just me, working on a SaaS product to create a shiny dashboard in predicting some future outputs, shall we say, for an industry. And that's been going really well. It was really detailed. We had some, predictive modeling. I put it in a Shiny app. I had loads of wonderful things. I had maps. I had a playground where you could adjust the marketing amount of money and see how it affected the KPIs. And I had a chatbot and everything. And I was just really excited to show it. I knew it inside out. But you have these projects that just don't go to plan. And it's a little bit like Duck, Goose, where just as you're about to reach that duck, it runs off on you and you have to kind of do another lap. So the project was a little bit like that, where, because it was my first Shiny app as well. The rest of the team all do Shiny and R, and they're kind of brilliant at it. But I was like, oh, I'll do this one because they want it in Python. I'll make my own Shiny app. How exciting. And it was a lot of kind of learning, and kind of the client would say, oh, I really want this. And I'm like, ooh, I don't know if we can do that, but let's find out. And then I was like, I can do this. Okay, let's do that. That sounds really exciting. And then, the client would go, ooh, could we do this? And I'm like, ooh, yeah, I think we can. So I definitely hold myself accountable that I was the one who was not helping with his game of Duck, Goose. Yeah, it kind of ran away from us a little bit. But what is not my fault is they had a structurally reshuffle internally as a company, and they decided they were not ready to go live, which is not on me, thankfully. So instead, what I've done is last week created a brand new dashboard, my second dashboard ever, and I've taken the most important things that I was actually going to talk about anyway, and I've just whacked it on a new dashboard for you. And obviously, being an primary R conference, or Shiny, traditionally in R, I've made sure there were some hexes. So that's like my favorite bit of the app. We've got some hexes. Yeah, so I'm going to share with you the app, and hopefully this will demonstrate. Oh, yeah, the mouse is working. Okay. So obviously got our lovely hexes here, and I'm going to share you the code for that in case that is something you would like to put inside your Shiny apps as well. Just because hexes seem to be everywhere in this community. We've also got the traditional kind of standard range of charts, and I've just stuck them in with some replacement data based on ducks. I'm a little bit duck mad. So yeah, we've got just some colorful charts. They all kind of follow the same standard, where they're reactive, they have filters, just the general Shiny app. This one's not as pretty as my other one, but we make do. I was assuming that loads of other speakers would like talk about how the reactive works and things like that, because I don't really know. I just put in the code and it works. And but I'm assuming you're all here because you know how to use Shiny, so you all know how to do this. But what I will share is how we do it in Python, because this whole Shiny app was built in Python. And as I say, I'm going to share some code with you, and I'm going to try and link it to R if I can. I've just had to Google some R things, so no idea if they're true or not. But yeah, so that was kind of like the homepage. You know, everything is kind of standard. It does exactly what it says on the tin, kind of what you think a Shiny app should look like. But what I'm really interested in sharing with you is I have an AI Insights tab. Now, a year ago when I first started putting AI in my Shiny app, bearing in mind I'd never made a Shiny app before, I'd never put AI into a Shiny app before either. And it's come a long way since. Apparently now Shiny Chat exists, and you can just do this, which is wonderful. When I started a year ago, that wasn't there for Shiny for Python, so I had to do a few other things. But essentially, I've got a little chatbot here. You can ask it some questions, kind of custom questions, or you can ask it some predefined questions in case you're unsure of what to ask the duck. Here I've got my helpful duck. So this one, it was kind of like, oh, give me an overview of the data. I've linked the data to the chatbot, so it can actually use the information from within the charts and kind of the overview of the data, so you can actually answer. So if you are using a dashboard with someone, a team who are not traditionally data-based, so whether they are kind of in marketing, which mine was traditionally based for, you can still give them the results that they can, the resources that they can see things that matter to them without having to then go and find someone in the data team to then ask and kind of say, oh, well, I didn't really understand why this bit of your app, like what does that mean? What does that chart show? Everything like that. So those were the predefined questions. Then I've also got a custom question, just in case anyone has a mind of their own, which I do sometimes. So not only does it take from the data, it also kind of uses, as a general AI assistant, it uses general knowledge that it has access to as well. And it doesn't have to be anything to do with anything. I actually asked, what would you recommend to make the app better? So we could ask it to help us make it better as well. So the whole reason this exists is because my client wanted their clients to be able to use this app as a one-stop shop. So instead of, ignore that, instead of going, oh yeah, I'm using your app, I'm finding all the input, I'm getting this data, great, but then I'm going to my favorite assistant to actually discover it, and the data all being in here and the app not having access to that, we're bringing it together, and this AI assistant has all the information that it has that you can then ask and questions about it. So it was kind of just to make life easier for our clients. So that is it. So there's my little lastminute.com dashboard. As I say, it's not the prettiest. There's some color in there, but yeah, it does the job. It's going to showcase exactly what I need it to. So as a little gift from me to you, here is the code to make the hexes. Now this is Python, so please don't look at it and go, oh, that's wrong. Yeah, it will be, especially if you normally work in R. But I've got, to keep it simple, and because I was the only person who worked in Python in my company, everyone else worked in R. So to make sure it was like easy for everyone to look at, just in case they wanted to look at my code, although no one really was that interested, I kept it so you'd have your server separate to your UI, separate to your styles, kind of just keeping that general standard methodology. You can in Python just stick it all in one script and it works, but this original script got very, very big, so actually it worked out quite nicely. So in my server, we've just rendered .text, kind of to bring that, and we've got like little boxes. The main thing here, we'll talk about it in a second, but yeah, the server just calls a text, that's absolutely fine. You've got your UI, I'm assuming it's quite standard in R as well, where you kind of put things in divs to manage little compartments and stuff. But the real trick here is in the styles. All of this, the hexes is got via your CSS, and these are the three main bits to make them. So your click path was what turned your boxes into your hexes. So that's the really important bit if you want to use that. I played about with the numbers, but those ones were the ones that worked visually for me. Then at the moment, even though you've got the hexes, they were kind of sitting underneath each other, just like in a line, and I wanted to make it a bit nicer and kind of look at tessellations. So the margin bottom was brought up so they were overlapping, and then I alternated them so every even one was kind of offset, hence the lovely tessellation of our hexes there. So there you go. And I'm hoping that that is literally code that you could pick up and use and stick in your R Shiny app by HTML Tools or BS Lib. People are nodding. Excellent. Okay, that's. And I put squiggly things in everything. I was very proud of myself. No idea what that means. As you saw, Python seems to be, well, for me, really easy to do in Shiny. Obviously, if you're coming from a different language, it might look a little bit unusual, but it flows nicely. Then we had the AI Insight. It worked out really quite well, and when I had a look at the documentation last week to kind of update it for this talk, the documentation has really developed in this section, so I'm not actually going to talk about it much. Previously, I had to create all my own kind of interface, and I had to create how it was interacting and all these other things. Now, especially in R as well, that Shiny chat, it just exists now, and the Python documentation, Shiny for Python documentation is, oh, it's beautiful, absolutely a breeze. It has the luxury of only being around for a couple of years now, maybe 2 or 3 years, so the documentation is really nice. And so far, it does everything that I've needed it to do. I haven't come across anything that go, oh, I can't do that, I have to do it in R. So the user submits a message, the server calls the model, which it processes, and then the result is rendered quite quickly. And I'm hoping, well, there you go, you got Shiny and HTTR2 and OpenAI, but then today I saw Shiny Chat that just supersedes all of this, I think. So, yeah. But just to show you what I did, here's my UI. So I've still got my panels and my layouts, and all we do is underneath our header is we call the chat UI. So this is quite good. Shiny gives you this component straight out of the box, so you don't need to style it. It's all kind of set up for you. This was newer than I realized, so it's there now. You can send a message and get an instant working interface without even writing any HTML, so it's quite nice. I did, however, just kind of give a little message, give a little character, and then you see I put in some separate buttons just to kind of give, if I didn't have a data literate user, they could just have something that they could click on to get some info straight away, get them thinking. Oh, sorry, that's a lot on one page. That should have popped up in individual pieces. Okay, if you look at the top left, you've got the kind of calling the AI client. My client went with OpenAI to begin with, but they were looking at Claude as well, so other AI interfaces exist. That's what I would say. But you just pull it, you kind of just say all the things you need to do. It's the same API that powers ChatGPT, but it's just wrapped up nice and neat for Shiny for Python. Underneath that, you compose the message. If you set your system message, you can set your tone. You'll see here I've be the helpful duck, be playful, quick-witted, do some snappy, full of personality. Otherwise, it comes out really boring like an analyst, and we just, sometimes we've got to inject a little bit of fun. Maybe not, depend on who your client is. You might want to keep it a little bit more serious, but you can define kind of how you want things. My client explicitly wanted to know how to market to Gen Z. So a lot of my composing message was, how do we get Gen Z involved? And what do you recommend for that? And it every single time came back just TikTok. So we had to really develop that. And then you write your system and your user. So your user is kind of how we interact with the thing. So your system is your chat, and then how we interact. And I've got 2 users there, one for the predefined messages, the buttons, and then one for the custom as well. And if you look up at the top right here, that's our buttons and our custom send. I had a little bit of a problem because originally it was like, here's my chat with all my custom, and then I had some buttons. And my buttons worked beautifully, but my custom didn't work. So I kind of played with some async, which helped. And then it still wasn't working. And because it was like last week, I was just like, I just need it to work. So I took away the option of even putting in some custom. I made a fresh button that you put in the custom and then click the button, and that seemed to work. So, sometimes you just have to be a bit flexible, but it is nice and easy to get it going. But if you have any desire to be a little bit individual or want it a different way, you maybe just have to be a little bit patient with it. And then, just some quick buttons, and you see I've used some async stuff as well. So it's all really quick. You did see all of that was live. I didn't pause the video to let the spinner go, 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 and then pop up. It actually was super quick. So yeah, my main issues there were the async responses. That took a little bit of fiddling about with to make sure that it worked for me. As I say, I still class myself as quite new to Shiny. This is technically my first app, part B. So that was just something I needed to get my head around. And then that button, the custom chat, was a little bit annoying as well. In the original app that I built, I also added a playground, like I spoke about earlier, and that was quite nice. So my clients were marketeers, and they were people who were not traditionally used to seeing the data as such, but they were very keen on, if I adjust my marketing budget, what is the effect of that going to be? So I had done, as well as a kind of model looking into predicting 2 years and multiple KPIs. I also added in a sensitivity lookup. So anything that was adjusted could then be related back to the data, and they could go, right, if I spend 10 grand more on TV, how is that going to affect my output? Oh, well, it's going to mean that this many other people get access to it. So that's something that they were quite interested in. So, lessons from the pond and my little duck friend. Shiny for Python, awesome, absolutely fantastic. If it's not something you've done before and you dabble in Python, I would highly recommend it, just because it is quite quick and easy to get the basics up there anyway. I mean, I'm not going to say compared to R because I've not done that, but I'm assuming R is really difficult and horrible. So again, AI integration is even more simple than I thought, because they've updated the documentation since I started it, and it really is lovely. But if you have any kind of way that you want to personalize it, you might just have to have a little bit of patience. So back to the main story. It's great getting feedback, and it is lovely getting feedback, but I would limit iterations, just not get too excited about the job that you're doing. Again, be flexible. Sometimes what you want and what the client wants isn't physically possible, so you have to come up with a bit of workarounds. Rubber duck it. Ask your friends. Just because I don't have any friends and I have to go with a duck, doesn't mean you can't. You can tell people, and if it does mean chatting to your duck, I think that process of kind of talking it through and kind of, oh, this is not working, why is that not working? And just vocalizing it really does help, I find. And very important, and I'm sure my boss Jeremy would say, stick to the scope, which is something I need to work on. I just got way too excited because I'd never used Shiny before, and I was really impressed at how awesome Shiny was. So yeah, that was kind of it. What I would say just before I am kicked off stage is if you are interested in Python, and that is something you would like to get into, but you've never touched it before, I have made a little mini series all about pretty powerful pandas, which is one of your libraries, packages, I don't know what you say in R. It's the thing that we use in analyse to make the data look pretty. Basically, it's like Excel, but in pandas. So I've created a little video episodes, and they're quite cute. They only need like 5-10 minutes just looking at little snapshots of things. So if you're interested, check that out. If you're really interested in R and Python, next week we've got the Earl Conference, which I'm sure some of you know about. We have Wes McKinney, who's actually the person who wrote Pandas, hence my little video series. Last year we had Hadley Wickham, so we had to kind of balance it out. Earl traditionally stands for the enterprise application of R language. And then when we took it over, I was like, and Python. So we had to add a bit of Python in there. We've also got Eric Drass, who's an artist, because he's going to do art with R. I don't know either. And Rachel Keane is a Chief Data Inspirer. What a cool title. Very inspiring to listen to. We've also got some workshops, and you might see some friendly faces there. We've got Miles, I know you did come in, and Nick Crane, who you're going to hear from in a second. as well as LinkedIn, and loads of amazing talks. And just for you guys today, we're giving a 10% discount if you do then want to pop down to Brighton next week. Other than that, thank you so much for having me.